You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Passive Practice Profits, BrainTap Technology, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, ChiroPro Accounting, A-Line, and Midwest Brain Health Technology. Let's hustle!
Hey guys, welcome to episode 286 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your co-host, Luke Millette, and here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Krista Burns, and if you want to look better, move better, and feel better, listen to this amazing episode. All right, welcome to another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. It's really exciting. We have Krista Burns coming in from Florida, and Luke is in his new home up there in Michigan, and I'm out here in the beautiful state of Colorado. And this is Chiro Hustle. Just before we jump in, the show is really to protect free speech and chiropractic, and to focus on protecting the sacred trust within the chiropractic profession. So each episode that we create is for the chiropractic profession, but it's also for the listeners that might not know about chiropractic. So I'm really excited today to have Dr. Krista Burns on with the American Postural Institute, and just give a chat with her about chiropractic from her worldview. And thank you for being on our show today.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity, Jim. I want to acknowledge you for having this incredible platform. I'm really excited to share today. Thanks for doing this great work with Chiro Hustle. It's so important.
Awesome. So as we like to do, one of the most important things that any chiropractor will ever share is their chiropractic story, their why. And, you know, if you could just share with our audience today, what is your chiropractic story, and why did you decide to become a servant in this beautiful profession?
It was the morning of U.S. ski team selections in Winter Park, Colorado, and I was 17 years old, and I'm standing at the top of the course, and I'd been training for this moment. I was a freestyle skier. I was training for the Olympics, and when you qualify for selections, U.S. ski team selections, that's when you start training with the U.S. ski team. So I was training at U.S. ski team selections, and I'm standing at the top of the course, and they say, racer ready, 3, 2, 1, go. And there I am on the course, and I suffered a fall that day. I'd been training for years and years until this moment of making the U.S. ski team. And I took a fall that day. At the bottom of the course, I remember hugging my coach, and I was so, bummed out about not being able to ski in the race. And at the bottom, he's like, okay, we got to get you well. We got to get you healthy, because I had injured my spine. And so I took his recommendation. When you don't have all of the knowledge of these natural healthcare solutions like chiropractic, you trust the people that you trust. And so I trusted my coach's advice. And he said, what we need to do is we need to send you to get injections in your spine. This will be the conservative route to prevent surgery. I said, great, let's do it. Anything that I can do to keep skiing. Because from the time I was 2 years old, I had the dream of going to the Olympics as a freestyle skier. And so fast forward, I started flying to Seattle once a week over the course of 8 weeks, and I'd get injections in my spine under anesthesia, meaning they'd put me under. It felt like they had taken a staple gun to my back when I would wake up from being under anesthesia. And it felt like I had a staple gun down my spine from these injections. After 8 weeks of injections, it didn't work. And so what they recommended is that I do a second round of injections. So here I am, 17 years old, a strong athlete, and I missed my Olympic window. Not only can I not ski at this point, but I can barely walk. The pain was so intense, it would take my breath away. Every time I'd bend forward to put my socks and shoes on, I would yelp out in pain. I had visual bruising that lasted on my spine for 2 years post-injections. So not only did I miss my Olympic window, but here I am, I can barely walk, I can barely move. At this point, Jim, I became obsessed with back pain. It didn't make sense to me. It wasn't fair. How could a young athlete, an aspiring Olympian who was on ESPN, Outdoor Life Network, featured in Ski Racing Magazine as an Olympic hopeful, how could I not come back from something so common as back pain? And so at that point, I started researching, and I said, you know what? I want to become the top spinal specialist. Nobody should have to go through what I went through. And that's where I found chiropractic. And I started just researching it first online, and then I went and visited the Palmer campus in Davenport, and from there I was hooked. And from that moment, I decided to dedicate my life to becoming a chiropractor, and from there, opening up the American Postural Institute. So I think our unique angle at the American Posture Institute is that we teach healthcare providers how to implement postural correction. So taking what you're already doing with spinal alignment and adding postural rehabilitation and posture habit re-education. Posture is declining at the speed of technology, and at the American Posture Institute, we're standing up to postural decline. Our work has been featured on world stages, world congresses like the World Congress of Neurology, media such as ABC, NBC, CBS, Global Woman Magazine, etc. So from this point forward, we've been on a mission to help patients suffering from back pain, but also for postural correction, and to help healthcare providers, just like all of you watching today, to implement signature postural correction systems into your practices.
And let's suppose that an office wanted to utilize your services at the American Posture Institute. What would be the first steps that they would take to do that?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Luke. So when it comes to the American Posture Institute, we have signature postural correction certification programs. We're 100% clinical. I highly recommend for practitioners who are interested in being brain-based to take the Postural Neurology certification program, where you can learn the neurology that controls the posture system, so that you can find the deficits in the brain that result in postural distortion patterns of the body, and then having brain-based assessments and brain-based solutions for postural correction results. We also have structural postural correction and postural ergonomic and pediatric posture specialist programs to help healthcare providers really become the go-to posture expert within their community to gain clinical certainty and grow their practices.
And so what would you say is the biggest piece of advice you could give another doctor who wants to see more new patients?
Define your unique expert position. 3 words, unique expert position. So when I graduated school, full of passion, ready to change the world, I boarded a one-way pass to Italy. So I boarded the flight, and with a one-way ticket, I moved over to the country of Italy. 26 years old, no entrepreneurial experience, knew nobody in Italy, didn't speak the language. And I got there and I set up shop and started my first practice from scratch in downtown Parma, Italy. And there were many lessons that I learned that first year in practice. I truly thought that I could just graduate, go set up anywhere, set up a sign, and I'd have patients around the corner waiting to come in for my services. Well, I was sadly mistaken. That first year in practice was really tough. I refer back to it as the treadmill effect, the feeling of working so hard to grow my practice, but seemingly never moving forward. It's because I lacked the systems. Just when I get one new patient in the door, I'd lose 2 out the back end. And what I learned is that, I read the book Good to Great. If you guys have ever read the book Good to Great, you can post in the comments below. And in the book Good to Great, he talks about the difference between good companies and great companies. Good companies mean well, while great companies stand the test of time. And the difference between good companies and great companies is that all great companies specialize. They have a unique expert position, the thing that they do better than anybody else in the world. What I realized in that moment, Luke, is that I was a generalist. I was trying to help every single person with every single need, every single day of the week, every single case presentation. Once I defined my unique expert position of postural correction, suddenly everything changed in practice. So by defining my unique expert position and becoming the go-to expert in one single thing, I went from failing in practice to suddenly working with professional sports teams, getting into all the corporations to do postural ergonomic talks, working with the school system for better posture for brighter futures, being featured on local media. I was writing for newspapers, for magazines. I was featured on TV because I was the go-to expert. So what I highly recommend is that everybody goes through and defines your unique expert position first. Before building your platform, you've got to know what you stand for. So know what you stand for and then build your expert platform. Your unique expert position arises where the 3 circles collide. What you're talented at, meaning what you can be the best in the world at, what you're passionate about, and what you can make money doing. So once you define your unique expert position, then you've got to start positioning yourself as the go-to expert. Now, a recent study came out, and this was so fascinating. They found that health and wellness businesses who have a customer journey increase their profitability by 350%. 350%. So I highly recommend that you define your unique expert position and then create a customer journey so you can meet patients where they're at, bring them on a journey with you, and then that's going to improve your new patient generation and your retention. So what I would do is I would recommend having a monthly posture workshop. And if you can't do in person, or if you feel uncomfortable doing in person, do a monthly posture webinar. Bring people into the webinar or the workshop. That's a safe referral. They get to come and meet you, learn more about what you do, either virtually or in your practice, meet you, see your practice, understand more about what you do. You provide them real value. At the end of that workshop or webinar, invite them to the next step. The next step is a posture check. Now, this is a low barrier of entry because it's an inexpensive offer. So for about $45, they can do a posture check, which is going to be a posture image. The purpose of that posture image is to see, do they have a posture problem? If they have a posture problem, then the next step is a full first visit. And then from there, our best clinical recommendations from an objective standpoint is to, if they have a posture problem, is to invite them to do a full postural correction program. So having that customer journey set up where we can monitor pre and post, we can check their posture at the beginning with posture imaging, objectively evaluate their progress throughout their program. So halfway through, they know why they're still coming in for visits because they can see that they've had progress, but they haven't had full correction of the posture system yet. So by having that journey, bringing them in with, by adding value first and by positioning yourself as go-to expert on social media, then they see you as a speaker in your office or on a webinar, or if you go into a corporate office and you speak to them, through postural ergonomics, this is a great way to provide value. They see you as the authority. Give them a low barrier of entry offer to get started, see if they have a posture problem, then clinically give your best recommendation of doing a first visit and then a posture program. That's exactly what I would do if I was trying to generate more new patients. And for any students out there who are graduating soon, what I highly recommend is that you start building your expert platform now. So when you can start adding content, you can start positioning yourself as the expert so that when you enter your community as a practitioner, people already know who you are. They already have brand recognition and they're ready to see you and come in for your expertise and for your clinical practice.
Well, you gave so much depth there for how you've become a leader in your marketplace. I think it's really important for people to understand that everybody has the opportunity to be successful in the chiropractic profession, and everybody has the opportunity to create valuable content. And you do have to take people on a customer journey because that's what all the real big businesses do. And if chiropractic wants to play as a leader in the health space, they need to start understanding that the customer journey is essential. Because chiropractors can practice the urgent care style, like I'll adjust you and get you out of pain, or they can learn how to create a system to take care of somebody from, point A through the whole lifeline. And I think that that's really important for people to understand is it's a lifestyle, and getting your posture back is something so vitally important for vital lung capacity, for, life to your years and giving you a better quality of life. So I think what you're doing is amazing. And I had a chance to see you speak at CalJam a few years back. And I go to a lot of those events, but I don't actually get a chance to see everyone speak because I'm so busy. But I did get a chance to see you do a presentation there a few years back. And you talked about digital dementia and nursing home posture, and how when people don't practice good posture for a long time, like the outside effect is a life that is almost unattractive to them. So if they can do things like practice a good chiropractic lifestyle, get their posture as strong as possible, and to be, really in tune with their posture and not lose it throughout the day. And those are things that are really important for people to understand about, like spinal health and long-term performance. So it was a really good presentation you gave, and I took a lot from it actually. And the whole visual made sense to me because we are at a postural decline. So I think that those are things to really, just be aware of and to focus on, because not many people know how to communicate that properly. It's either pain or it's not pain. But a lot of times it's quality of life and it's looking good as you age. And I think that those things are really important, and having that vitalistic empowerment inside of you, and not feeling like you're, shuffling around and you're susceptible to falling, and all these things come with poor posture. So I really appreciate what you're doing for the marketplace, and educating people how to become more sustainable with their marketing and their branding towards their communities, and really getting people in for the right reasons. But as far as you, I know you mentioned to me that you're down in Florida, And one of the things I'm really curious about is what practitioners are doing for their personal health, because that could be a great glimpse for people to understand what they could do, some action steps to take care of themselves also. So maybe you could share with our audience some of your personal favorites that you do for you and your family's health.
Yes, definitely. And to your quick point before, I wanted to mention when it comes to practitioners and communicating posture, we got to remember that patients want one of three things. They want to look better, move better, feel better. Look better, move better, feel better. Research healthcare consumer desires tell us this. So when patients wake up, they're motivated to come into your offices because they want to look better, move better, and feel better. So when we communicate to them, we've got to hit and meet their value system. And when you do, they will be dedicated patients. And what's cool about postural correction is you can meet all of those value systems by simply communicating posture. So a really great way to connect with your patients. Now, from my perspective, I'm an avid fitness enthusiast. After going through, my journey with skiing, I've been a competitive athlete my entire life. After going through my journey with skiing, what was amazing is after graduating chiropractic school, I made my health a priority. I created these postural correction systems. I put myself to the test, actually went through our system 100%. I'd walk in the front door of my office. I'd sit in line with my patients. I'd get adjusted. I would do all of our rehab recommendations. And in 12 weeks to better posture, I felt better than I had in years afterwards, to the point where I went on to be a competitive bodybuilder. I took third place at the World Championships, so that was amazing. I was doing bodybuilding for a lot of years. Now I've switched focus to running, so I'm also a marathon runner, getting ready for a marathon right now. And when it comes to mental health and to creativity and tapping into that right brain, absolutely nothing compares to a morning run by the water. Getting out in nature and exercising and moving our bodies there's nothing like it for brain health. I also live the advice that I give. I do posture exercises every single day because I've suffered from chronic back pain for years of my life. And so I'm committed to the advice that I give, which is doing daily posture exercises. And you know what's so cool, Jim, is I love getting my whole family involved. Right now, I have 4 generations of my family who do daily posture exercises. They're all under chiropractic care in their same hometown. We're on a same fitness journey. We're always exercising together as a family. And on top of it, I follow a very specific diet. So low carb diet overall, and really working to always having great lean meats and a lot of veggies and some good fruits as well. So I live the advice that I give. I couldn't be more obsessed with health. And I think the recommendations that you give to your family are the recommendations that we care. I mean, these are the people that we value the most. And the exact same recommendations that I give to patients and to practitioners to implement with their patients are exactly what I'm telling my niece and nephew, my sister, my mom and dad, my grandmas, right? That's the exact same advice that I'm giving to them and that I implement every day of my life as well.
I think it's beautiful because I think, if I was a practitioner, which I'm not, I would want to take care of the people on my table that come into me for trust of care the same way that I'd take care of my mom. And I think that when you think about it on those terms, it gets real. And that's when people start seeing what a chiropractic lifestyle can do, because the person delivering that care is somebody that's vested, because they would want to have that same type of care delivered to their own family. And I think it transitions really well when you talk to somebody and say, hey, I'm on your team. And the reason I'm on your team is because this is how I take care of people in my life. And now you're a part of that. So having access to a great chiropractor will change almost anyone's life, especially someone that's vested in seeing their outcomes improve and being a part of their health team. But it is cool that you live congruent with what you do and how you practice, and that's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
So are you more committed to in-person work these days with marketing, or are you more in touch with digital? What's working best for you?
Definitely digital. We've really committed to doing a lot of online trainings and a lot of online work. When it comes to local, though, I really recommend getting in and talking with corporations. I don't think anything compares to speaking live to people, to groups of people. When I started building my practice, that was the first thing that I did. And if anybody out there is feeling a little bit insecure about speaking to groups of people, I want to ease your nerves for you. So when I first moved to Italy, like I said, I didn't speak the language. I had to learn it once I got there. 3 weeks after moving to Italy, I set out on a mission to get new patients, and I didn't know what else to do than go speak to groups of people. So I actually booked out the town hall. I memorized a health talk in Italian, and I gave a health talk in Italian. And what was so amazing is from that one single health talk, I generated new patients that became my very first patients in my practice. One of the patients that I obtained that night happened to be the greatest bodybuilder of all Italian history, very famous on TV. He has a national fitness magazine. He brought in more new patients to our practice than probably anybody else that I got from one single health talk. Plus, he had me writing for his fitness magazine and had me on his TV show. So if you're ever feeling nervous, just know that the right people are going to hear your message. You've got to put yourself out there and start speaking locally. Another example of this is I did a health talk at a gym, and anytime you're getting ready for a health talk, you get yourself all excited, you prepare your presentation, and I showed up and there were only 4 people in the audience. 4. And before the health talk, I was feeling really disappointed and pretty demoralized, if I'm honest with you. I'm like, man, all this work and only 4 people are here. But then what was crazy is I got 3 new patients, right? 3 out of 4. And one of those new patients happened to be the mayor of our town. And she is known throughout Italy as being one of the very few female mayors. And so she loved that, she loved coming in. She got fantastic results. And then she was setting us up with all these other civic organizations to go and do talks. She, brought in her whole family, all of these, socialites within town she was referring to us. So speaking directly to people is so powerful. They get value from you. They get to see who you are. They learn more about your message, so much so that by the time they come in, they're ready to say yes to your care. They're ready to have a posture image done to see, do they have a posture problem? Now, I know that there have been restrictions, COVID related with the pandemic about speaking to groups of people. Take that same message and share it online. You've got to position yourself yourself with your unique expert position as the go-to expert within your community. One of the best ways, again, is going back to speaking that word, sharing your stories, inviting them with the next best step after adding value. And you can do all of that via webinars. I would commit to doing 1 webinar and or in-person posture workshop per month, and that will consistently bring you new patients. One of the practitioners in our Posture Masters program, Dr. Na, she's out in Ghana, West Africa, and she really took it, she just took it on of becoming the go-to expert. I was just speaking with her today. Since joining the program, her collections have doubled. She's been doing monthly webinars and in-person workshops, and she said that she used to feel like she was just talking to people. Now she's converting people consistently. Every time she does a talk, she's getting new patients. She's positioned herself as a go-to expert and is now seen as an influencer in her space. So that's the best way. Instead of trying to be everywhere and constantly pushing people to come in, don't do push marketing, do pull marketing, where you're the go-to authority, you're the go-to expert, and people are lined up to come in and see you. They come in ready to say yes because they've heard your message multiple times on social media through a workshop before even coming in to get their posture checked. So I highly recommend speaking directly to people at corporations if you can, and if not, via webinars.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Passive Practice Profits, BrainTap Technology, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, Chiropro Accounting, A-Line, and Midwest Brain Health Technology. Let's hustle.
So how do you see chiropractic changing and developing, or where do you think it's going to find itself in the next 20 years?
I think the future of chiropractic is posture related. And if we look at the statistics, everything's going in that direction. Posture is declining at the speed of technology. Right now, more than 70% of students present with tech-neck posture. Right now, more than 60% of people working from home are experiencing neck pain and back pain. And since working from home, patients, now working suddenly from their couches where they used to be in an office environment before, they've seen an increase in neck pain. 50% of patients working from home report neck pain getting worse. And again, more than 70% of students right now are presenting with forward head posture and tech neck posture. Now, here's the important thing to remember about this. Jim was talking about earlier a presentation I did at CalJam. Now, we gave the comparison of neurologic compromise and how gait and posture shows up from neurologic compromise compared to tech neck posture. So for example, if a patient has Parkinson's disease, they present with forward head posture, rounded shoulders, and a shuffling slow gait pattern. If you watch a pediatric patient on their smartphone, what do they look like? forward head posture, anterior roll of their shoulders. When they walk slower because they're holding their smartphone, and they have no arm movement. That exact definition is how a presentation with a highly neurologically compromised nervous system presents. And what's scary, I had the opportunity of presenting at the World Congress of Falls and Postural Stability in Malaysia. And I was on the posture and cognition track because what we found through the research, study after study after study, is showing that a decline in posture is associated with a decline in cognition. What is cognition? Your ability to think, put together thought processes. And so as posture declines, as we go into the C-shaped spinal curvature, our ability to think as human beings decreases. And so what's crazy and what terrifies me, and this is why we've got to own the future of chiropractic with posture, is because if you look at a picture of a geriatric patient and a pediatric patient, they look far too similar. When we picture a 90-year-old person in our mind, we think of a geriatric patient. What do we think of? We think of them being hunched over and probably walking with a cane. They have postural instability, postural immobility, and postural distortion patterns. And then you look at a child sitting on a couch, staring at their smartphone, watching a YouTube video, and they have the exact same posture. So we are seeing postural distortion patterns at an earlier rate than we've ever seen in history. We are seeing postural decline at the greatest rate in our history of the human species. And so by understanding postural distortion patterns and how it's impacting the nervous system, you will have a very full practice. And on top of it, patients get posture. 3 important words here: patients get posture. Patients get posture. When you speak to about posture, they all understand the words that you're saying. They've been told to sit up straight their entire life, right? Mom who was telling them to sit up straight maybe didn't understand the neurophysiology of it, but if you do, and you can explain this to parents, and then you give them the homework of watching their child on devices, they're going to go home, they're going to have that "that's my kid" moment, they're going to come in, they're going to bring their whole family with them. So if you want to fill your practice by meeting your patient's value system, by speaking to them in words that they understand, and by helping, in my opinion, which will be the greatest health crisis of our time, which is postural distortion patterns and the cognitive decline associated with poor posture, then you got to stay ahead of this healthcare curve. It's all about understanding postural distortion patterns and having brain-based solutions to help patients improve their posture.
Epic. Just listening to you make those connections for people is so important. Chiropractic is a big idea, and once you get the big idea, all else follows. And marketing and serving are things that go hand in hand. And I really believe that when you focus on something that's so important to the human race, such as posture and cognitive decline, if you can just start making that matter to people, then chiropractic becomes really cool. Then chiropractic becomes a no-brainer. Then it becomes something that everybody wants to go check out and everybody wants to learn more about and bring their families to, because it's not cool to have, cognitive decline. It's not cool to look like, a 5-year-old looks like they're 90 years old. Those things aren't cool. And I think that when people start to understand that, they want to have what's good for them. And people are really smart, but they have a hard time connecting chiropractic with posture, or they have a hard time connecting chiropractic with vitality, or they have a hard time connecting chiropractic with brain health. What they have been marketed to since the Yellow Page ages were get in and we'll help you with your car crash and we'll help you with your injuries. And then they got in cahoots with insurance companies, and they're like, we can help you with your motor vehicle accidents and your slip and falls, and we'll see that you get some chiropractic included to help you with your pain. But now we're changing the page to say the future of chiropractic is going to be more focused on quality of life and looking good, feeling good, and performing good. And I think that when people understand that, chiropractic is easier to say, hey, this is just something that's going to enhance your quality of life. And if you want that, then we have that. And I think that more people are waking up to that because they want to remain healthier long-term, and they don't want to have comorbidities, as we've been told. And they want to practice a healthy lifestyle where they're eating right, thinking right, moving right, and getting adjusted. Go figure. The adjustment is so important to vitality. And I think that some of these things that you're doing are so important for other people to learn how to implement and to communicate on those levels. So thank you for doing the work that you're doing, and, as we transition this conversation, I know that you went to Palmer. That's the fountainhead of chiropractic. It's the first chiropractic college, very prestigious. And it's my hometown. I was just there for homecoming this past weekend. And it's so vibrant over there. And there's a lot of powerful people that are still showing up for that homecoming and supporting the future of chiropractic. But maybe you could share with our audience, who are some of your chiropractic heroes? And if you could just sit down and talk to somebody for 1 hour, who would that be?
Amazing. I've had a lot of mentors throughout my journey. I have to give a shout out first to Dr. Glenda Foy. When I was a student, she was in charge of the sorority. I was president of the sorority over at Palmer, which was the first organization on behalf of chiropractic in the world. So I love that experience in the sorority, and Dr. Glenda Foy was my first mentor. And then Dr. Kathy Winland Colby. So once I joined the League of Chiropractic Women, I had an amazing time mentoring one-on-one with Dr. Kathy Winland Colby. I learned so much from her that it's just absolutely stuck with me. She really helped me launch my career. And then Dr. Fabrizio Manzini, joining his mentorship program was life-changing. It was transformational. I love the work that he's doing. He's so loving, and he genuinely cares about all of his mentees. And as well as JJ Virgin, she's a health and celebrity fitness trainer and does supplements and nutrition. And so she's shown me a lot along the way as well. And if I could sit down with anybody, I'll tell you what, it would have to be Dr. Stephen Covey. The book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, transformed my life. When he said that personal victories precede public victories, personal victories precede public victories, that saying has stuck with me. And I think about that every single day. That's why when I wake up, I do my posture exercises the first thing in the morning. I go for my run. I go out in nature, and I get my mind and my body working well, because I know that I need a personal victory every single day to show up at the best level for my community. So I'd love to be able to sit down with him for an hour and chat with them.
So we're just about at the edge of our interview. So why don't you kind of close us out by telling us a miracle story or two that you've seen in your office?
Yeah, the first one that comes to mind is Bailey Chetta. She was a patient who came in. She was overweight. She had a lot of neck pain, migraines. She had forward head posture, eye strain. And when she first started coming in, she was really fatigued, and she was unsure if chiropractic would work for her. We started working with her, and we were doing postural correction. Now, during her treatment plan, she ended up losing her husband and her brother, one to suicide. And so as we started getting results, we just saw, this trauma happening within her life. And what was so amazing is her ability to get through this trauma. And she actually told us at the end of her treatment plan that coming into our office and doing postural correction care was what got her through it. So even with all this trauma, she was able to still lose weight. She was able to feel better than she had in years. She was able to produce at a higher level, better performance at work. Her neck pain was gone. Her migraines were gone. She was living this pain-free life. And postural correction was really that catalyst, that keystone habit that opened her up to feeling better so that she would finally lose weight and have more energy. And the biggest compliment is when you get a referral. So Bailey Chetta then sent in her son, who didn't have any pain whatsoever, but she had seen him having tech neck posture while studying. And so she sent him in right away, and he was a great patient as well. So being that rock for people, being that stability, even when they're under trauma, even when they're experiencing pain, even when they're in low points of their life, and they turn to you and say that, what you do is the reason they got through it, that's really powerful. That's a miracle story, and we're so happy we can help Bailey Chetta and her family.
All right. Fantastic. That pretty much brings us to the end of the interview. Dr. Krista, where can people go to find out more about the American Posture Institute?
Thank you. Please join us at the American Posture Institute by checking us out online, americanpostureinstitute.com. We have a great Facebook group. We'd love for you to join us, Posture Correction Strategies for Healthcare Professionals. And coming up is the International Posture Symposium, a live streaming conference going live October 22nd to the 24th. We'd love to see you there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being our guest this afternoon, Dr. Krista. I know we both had a lot of fun, and thank you for being our guest today.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. And again, I want to praise you and acknowledge you for the excellent work that you're doing. Thank you for providing this platform so we can connect with like-minded practitioners and really share the Chiro hustle. Thanks so much, Jim. Thank you, Luke. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for being our guest today. And it's an honor to be able to, protect the sacred trust with our message of chiropractic freedom. And I think so many people just need to understand that chiropractic is something that is so available to them. They just have to give themselves permission to take a look at it and to see if it's right for them. But I know that the profession just turned 126 years, and it's really important to keep on perpetuating this message of chiropractic so we can help more people. And I think that that's the real essence of the profession, is to give, love, serve. And if we can accomplish that by protecting free speech in the profession, we're going to do something really amazing as we create the next 1,000 interviews. So with that, we want you to have a great rest of your day. And thanks for being our guest.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.